podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and The Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello everyone. On today's show, I'm delighted to be joined by one of England's favourite players of the late 1980s and 1990s, a fast bowler who famously took 9 for 57 against South Africa at the Oval in 1994. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion, Devon Malcolm. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all. Life is good.
Well, it's been good to track you down. And thanks to Jeff Miller to putting me in contact with you. Jeff, who came on the show a few weeks ago.
Oh, was he now? Okay.
Yeah. Now, you always get asked about your 9 for 57, but I wanted to start by talking about your batting. I went on YouTube last night and there were some fantastic clips of your 2 sixes against Shane Warne. And also, I thought the best one was when you hit Glenn McGrath for 3 fours. Glenn wasn't happy.
Not at all. I mean, tell you what, a lot of people make fun of my batting. Yes, my batting at the best of time was comical, but I will tell you this. I work very hard to get in my batting average all the way up to 6.25, mate. So don't take the mickey. But what normally happens as a number 11, say when I played, it's not like now where, guys have their batting practice and all that business at number 11, and you have quite a bit of chance practicing. At number 11, I normally get out there, try to entertain the crowd, hit sixes, hit fours, get my shoulder warm up, ready to bowl. Yeah, but you talk about the great Shane Warne, fantastic bowler, and if you ask Shane Warne, he said I possibly hit him for a couple of the biggest sixes. I remember playing probably 94 at Adelaide and actually hit him out the park. I mean, you can't hit people out the park in Australia. The pitches the grounds are so large. But at Adelaide, I remember putting him in the bushes in Adelaide. All the guys were saying they've never seen a ball hit that far. But when I do connect, it goes a long way. And I do enjoy my batting. I do enjoy hitting the ball. But as I said, I'm not going to hang around him for a very long time because I'm too attacking. I play too many shots. And you also mentioned about Glenn McGrath. Fantastic bowlers. And, he said to club cricket, they said, these guys are absolutely fantastic. Managed to hit Glenn for, a few fours, couple probably off the edges. But I particularly remember as well a game we played against the great West Indies way back in the early 90s, playing against Ambrose. And Ambrose ran in and he absolutely clean bowled me. And I went on to pick the stump up. Nobody heard. Nailed the stump back in. Ambrose proceeded to bowl, and the next 2 balls are creaming through the covers for 4. He wasn't happy. He said, Dev, I will never ever pitch a ball up to you again. But no, I did. I do enjoy my batting, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I thought I'd bring that up because before you played your Test debut at Trent Bridge, the game before was your highest ever first-class score. You got 51 against Surrey. And
right.
I wondered whether England had picked you for your batting for that debut test against Australia.
Against Australia, yeah. As I said, yeah. England were kind of struggling then. And probably when you talk about that, I remember that vividly, actually. It was against Surrey at Derby.
Derby, that's right, yeah.
At Derby. So I could say that was almost like how you see they play 2020 cricket now, because, I remember Ian Bishop was batting at the other end, and I walked out and I said, Bish, I'm going for the final point. We need to get 300 to get the maximum batting points. And Bish was just laughing. And I tell you, my 50, I've made 51, was it? I probably have 17 balls. So he was just sixes and fours. I mean, poor Bish couldn't stand up. He was just laughing. He said, boy, you can smack the ball when it hits the bat. So, yeah, I remember the old grandstand at Derby, and I've actually hit a couple over the grandstand, So, yeah, when it connects, man, it does stay hit. So, yeah. And I went on, actually, to make another 50 against Somerset a few years later at Taunton, So I had a couple of first-class 50s, but when guys see me batting on TV, playing against the great like, Donald, Wazim Akram or Waka Yunis, Ambrose, Walsh, I mean, those guys are serious bowlers, so they make any batsman look a fool, let alone poor Devon Malcolm. So when I do get the chance to connect one, I do stay in the memory bank, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, in those days, you gave us plenty of entertainment with the bat. But going forward then to this first Test match you played, actually, I was there against the Australians at Trent Bridge.
Oh.
England were 3-0 down in the series. It was quite an eventful first day for England, wasn't it?
It certainly was. You say you're coming from county cricket again, playing at Derby with my schoolboy hero Michael Holden, and always giving you tips as a fast bowler what you expect or what the captain expected of a fast bowler. You need to strike within the first 3 overs. You need to let the new ball talk. You need to take wickets earlier on. And, I thought I was on target there, actually. My third over, I believe it was, I had Marsh, I can remember, absolutely plumb in front, And I remember watching the highlights at night, and the commentator said, okay, that would have definitely missed off stump. He probably definitely would have missed leg stump also, but what I missed, that would have made of middle stump. So, Marsh didn't move. I dropped him right in front, and I remember the umpire, was it Nigel Cruz it was, and he just didn't give him out. So I keep saying, well, if that's not out, I said, I don't know what's going to be. I said, cricket, getting LBs in Test cricket are probably so much more difficult. And you know what, as you said, walking off the pitch at the end of the first day,
301 for no wicket.
Look back at the scoreboard, and it's 301 without loss. What a debut that is. I mean, how can you forget that? I mean, one of my proudest moments, making my debut for England, absolutely fantastic. But walking off Australia 301 without loss, it was embarrassing. Very embarrassing, to be honest. But, I went on. I reckon on the third new ball, I managed to get my first wicket in Test cricket. I got Steve Waugh, the great Steve Waugh, out. So that was, a kind of a plus, because during the series, I don't believe anybody got Steve Waugh out, leading up to then. I got him out. It was caught Gower ball Malcolm. That was my first Test wicket. So, but yeah, what an introduction to international cricket that was. Boy, how can you forget that?
Yeah, your figures of 44 overs, 2 maidens, 1 for 166.
Don't remind me. So if you don't remind me of that, I mean, up to recently, that probably was the worst debut figures for England. You believe that? Until a spin bowler for England went to Australia, and he probably, who was he again? I forget his name actually, but I'm probably second on the list as the worst debuts in figures actually. The spin bowler who probably went for a little bit more than me. But yeah, I had quite a few chances though, I must admit. As I said, the first I could have had a wicket earlier on. And, in cricket, Test cricket, whatever cricket it is, that's, because as you know, when I made my debut, a lot of young players were thrown in the side myself. There was Angus Fraser, Michael Atherton. There was also Martin Moxon, Tim Curtis, being thrown in the team. So you need a little bit of confidence. And, it could have been so much different. If I'd had that LB earlier on, if I'd had Marsh, Plum LB, next I would be in my stride. But all of a sudden you're thinking different things. Okay, well, how am I going to get these batters out if that's not out? And you start bowling a little bit wider, bowling for the edges. And these batters were confident. As you said, they were 3-0 up at the stage. But, it's one of those things. But, yeah it wasn't nice.
Well, I'd like to take you back to your very beginnings of cricket, just to start your cricket career. You were born in Kingston, Jamaica in February 1963. What do you remember about growing up in Jamaica and playing cricket in the Caribbean?
Well, not so much cricket. Absolutely love cricket, yeah. But growing up in the Caribbean, being brought up in the Caribbean, it doesn't care what sport anything's going. Look, if it's a game of marble, you got to compete. So it doesn't matter. With football, I used to absolutely love football. Athletics, I was good at athletics. I could run really well. I mean, it doesn't care what's going. Everything is so competitive. You have to participate in more sports. For a start at school, primary school, whatever, you have your different houses. So you got to do athletics. So you got to run, you got to do long jump, you got to do high jump. And cricket was my love. I did, football also, but cricket was the thing. Remember I was at a primary school. On a Friday, it's normal. You get in, you got to make sure you get your work done early in the morning. If everything is right, next you get the afternoon to play cricket. And boy, I'm always on my best behavior. Everything is right on a Friday, so we can get the afternoon off to play cricket. And, you will drag all your teammates, classmates, boys, girls, whatever, just come and have a game of cricket. And, then, say in Jamaica, growing up, cricket balls and stuff like that. Yes, you've got cricket balls, you've got the bats and all that business where the bigger boys use. But normally as youngsters, you make your own bats and you improvise. You find different things to make as cricket balls and whatever. But it was great. You just enjoy sport. Just as I said, it doesn't care what it is. And yes, we had some good grounding. As you can imagine as well, the West Indies was fantastic at cricket. I normally listen to the radio, listen to cricket. I didn't even know what Michael Holding looks like, but I heard he was a great fast bowler, running from the boundary, bowling the speed of light. And, as a youngster, that's what I did. I normally running faster than I bowled, but I normally have a long run in trying to imitate in my head what the commentators say on the radio, because the commentators on the radio normally paint such a brilliant picture of cricket. So I have that love from cricket from listening to the radio, listening to, Michael Holding running in, Michael Holding bowling to Geoffrey Boycott, Barbados, all that business. And those pictures, the pictures are built in my mind. As I said, it wasn't TV pictures, but the pictures are built in my mind was even greater. So I absolutely, loved fast bowling.
Well, you moved to Sheffield in 1979. What were your first impressions when you came to England? Cold weather, I guess.
Yeah, it was cold, but my dad, bless him, God rest his soul, I lost him during the first pandemic. He was in a care home. So
I'm sorry.
He was on the first one to go. The COVID-19 took him with no real fault of his, because I thought everything was secure there. But bless him, as I said, he got me here in March, because his plan was, because when he came here way back in the 60s, he came at the wrong time. So he said, if you get me here in March, it will be, spring, and it's going to get warmer. But even so, when I arrived in March, it was cold. It was freezing because, before, say, even when I was in Jamaica, before I came up, I was told, look, England is very cold. So I normally open the fridge, put my hand in the fridge, not the freezer. I said, oh, how cold the fridge was. They said, no. As cold as the freezer, that's what this is like in England. So I was dreading the cold. But arriving in England, I just saw a little bit of snow on the ground and all that business. And man, it was cold. It was freezing. And, the building types and all that business was rather different. So way back then in the 70s, 79, whatever. The houses, you see, it's not like now where you have smokeless fuel. Like in Sheffield, industrial city, the smoke bellowing from the chimneys and stuff like that. And I keep saying, wow, I didn't realize. I said, this place is just full of bakeries. I thought it was just bakeries all over the place, but there were actual houses and these, steel buildings and, smokes and all that business coming out. So it was different from the clear, blue skies and all that business you grew up with as a youngster in Jamaica and see. But yeah, it was quite an introduction. But my neighbors and the boys on the street were fantastic. Went out and took us out, play a lot of football. When I first arrived, because all the kids on the street, they love football, and that's all they did. So I didn't play cricket for a long while, for a few years anyway.
Right, because looking at your sort of cricketing background, you perhaps obviously did play before then, but you sort of came to attention when you got Geoffrey Boycott out in 1984, playing for the Yorkshire League.
Yes, as I said, when I arrived as a student, not to play cricket, So I was at college in Sheffield. My college didn't have they have a cricket field, but none of the students from the college played, were just the village played. And eventually, I played for the local team, Sheffield Caribbean, and they, they've got a club. We didn't have a probably a home ground then. We normally use one of the grounds from a school close by. And I played for Sheffield Caribbean, and from there I moved on. Sheffield United Cricket Club spotted me and they wanted me, so I went to Sheffield United and just push the story on a bit. In 1984, I was selected for the Yorkshire League Select 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club. But every year, you see, the Yorkshire normally play Yorkshire League Select 11 in a pre-season game. The Yorkshire League then was very good because in the league, guys like Geoffrey Boycott, if you have an injury or anything like that, he normally turn up and play in the Yorkshire League to get back fitness and all that. But push the story on a bit. I was selected playing in a place called Castleford in Yorkshire. I was at college, as I said. I actually nicked the Friday of college, would you believe it? My dad didn't even know I was going to play against the countryside because, as I said, I played a bit of cricket. He didn't realize how good I was or potentially how, a good a cricketer I could be anyway. So I'd actually just nicked the Friday off college and went to Castleford to play against Yorkshire. And as it happens, run up in my first over, I believe it was, I mentioned Martin Moxon, who we actually made our test debut together against Australia in 1989. And Martin Moxon, a clean bowled Martin Moxon with a Yorker. And I reckon the following over, the same fate happened to Mr. Boycott. I clean bowled him as well. He's back in March, that is. A youngster. Nobody hit Geoff Boycott's stump out. Nobody get Geoff Boycott out, let alone clean bowl Geoff Boycott for pace in March. So, and his bat was halfway down when, his stump was rocked back. And as I went on, we won the game. So probably if you look in the history, probably that's the only time the League 11 ever beat Yorkshire in a pre-season game. And I had a write-up in the papers, actually, this Saturday, because, and the headlines in the Yorkshire Post was Yorks being Devon creamed,
And your dad found out you weren't at college then as well?
No, my dad realised I nicked the day of college. So the coach, Phil Ruster, I remember, was the coach at Derbyshire. So he came down, we were practicing the weekend at Bowtry Road. And he came down and he said, "Are you the guy who clean bowled Boycott?" And I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Tell you what, come to Derby on Monday for a trial." Then I tell you what, Phil, in the county championship, all he wanted to do, his main aim in life was just beat Yorkshire. He don't care if he lose every game in the season, but losing to Yorkshire, it wasn't the option. He was one of those things, do anything. So he said, Boycott is always the solid rock in Yorkshire almost. So he said, "Pop to Derby on the Monday for a trial." And I said, "I don't believe that can happen, sir." I said, "Already Nick Friday off college, so I got to be at college on a Monday." He said, "Tell you what, just jump on the train, come to Derby, and come for a trial." So I contemplated, got to Derby on the Monday anyway. In the nets, bowled pretty quickly, the speed of light I feel in my head. And Kim Barnett and Phil Russell, they offered me a contract. They said, "You've got a God-given talent. You can bowl quicker than anybody I've seen at your age." He said, "It's obvious you just like the game and just play." He said, "I believe when you know where you want to pitch 4 balls, you possibly go on to play international cricket." I keep saying, "What?" I said, "I just do this game for fun. I love cricket." So when they offered me a contract, said they're going to pay me, I said, "Don't be silly. You can't pay me to play cricket. I play for nothing. It's a game I love." And he said, "It's a professional club. You have to be paid." So I said, "Okay." He said, "Just go back, talk to your dad." I said, "Well, we'll find some time to tell him." And come back. So they offered me a one-year contract, and the rest is history, really. But the whole moral of the story, though, if you come across Geoff Boycott and you mention my name, he probably would say, "If it wasn't for his wicket, nobody would know me." But that's the type of bloke Geoff is. I love Boyks to bits, but to be honest, talk about talent, you have to have a bit of luck as well. And I was at the right place at the right time. And look, I probably, if I'd gone on and probably take 5 wickets or 6 wickets in that game, probably unlikely. I probably wouldn't get the headlines I had, but getting Boycott, I must admit, propelled me. you know. Such a great batsman Boycott was then. So, I mean, Geoff Boycott, to a certain extent, he's got what he's saying is absolutely true. Because, you know, if I didn't get Boycott, as I said, I got Moxon. He didn't mention about Moxon. You know, Boycott was the man. Get Boycott, got my headlines in the paper for that. And 2 days later, I was a pro. You know, so absolutely fantastic. So that's the type of cricket. I mean, I love Boycott. I love Boycott. It's fantastic.
And did you ever go back to college?
Yes. I went back to college. Yeah. I went back to college and in between the cricket. But as soon as I came back to college and I've been to Derby. Next, I went to I was at Richmond College. Next, I went to Derby. I went to Derby College of Higher Education. No, it's the Derby University. So I continued studying, you know, during the winter months. Next, I'll start making the England side, and you know, but you know, I went on to study, and in the end, you know, once I went on and played quite a few more games. I actually had a honorary degree from Derby University as well, actually, because that's where I went to. No, a university. I must admit, when I went there, it wasn't the university. Then the status was a college of higher education. Yeah, so because I said I went to Richmond College of Further Education, next Derby College. Yeah. So
anyway, you said you got this contract for Derbyshire, and it couldn't have been very long then before, because in May '84 you made your debut against Surrey.
Against Surrey, yes.
That's right. What did it feel like playing? Oh, actually, I've got to mention him now because of him introducing me to you. But in your debut match, Geoff Miller got a fifer as well.
Did he? All right.
Yeah, 5 wickets. And what did it feel like playing with Geoff, Bob Taylor, John Hampshire for Derbyshire?
I know it was amazing. And you mentioned, thanks for reminding me. I mean, John Hampshire took me like a son, to be honest, because John Hampshire, I was living in Sheffield, and, you know, John Hampshire used to live in Todwick, not very far away. And as I said, as a youngster, just finished, or still at college, really, how am I going to get to Derby? So, you know, as I said, John Hampshire, you normally said, okay, Dev, I mean, the bus service in Sheffield then was absolutely fantastic in the 80s. So I normally get up, jump on the bus from Sheffield, drove all the way to Todwick, and the bus just parked. The bus stop was right outside John Hampshire's house. So there in John Hampshire's house, and said, take me to cricket, to Derby, back there, jump on the bus back to Sheffield. So he was like my dad. He was, when you talk about your dad being, or you, as father, you run your kids around. That's what. So John looked after me for the first year, really, regarding run me around, take me to cricket and going to practice at Abbeydale or whatever, because it was close to Sheffield. Sometimes we just practice in Abbeydale Park. That's Joe Root's club at the moment. And all that business. And Geoff Miller also was instrumental, you know, because I remember a guy used to play who played for Derbyshire way back, probably in the 70s, 80s, Andy Tashka, because he used to play in the Yorkshire League, and he normally mentioned himself to Geoff Miller that there's a tearaway fast ball in the leagues, you understand? And, you know, I also remember turning up to my first game, because, you know, as a club cricketer at college, turned up at Derby after I had my I had to drop this in actually, had my trials and given a contract. And for my first game, Geoff Miller, I remember actually, he had a sports shop, Musson Miller Sport, and he turned up with a cricket bag because I had nothing, you understand? And there was a helmet in there. Was there a bat? There could have been, I don't know. If you gave me a bat, that would be pointless anyway. But yeah, there's a bat, there's bat in there, there were pads, the whole work. And all of a sudden I felt like a professional cricketer. And I said, what a lovely man. Thank you very much, sir. I said to Geoff and all that business. And, you know, I said, no problem, I'll be taking 50 quid a month out to you. It's the most expensive helmet I've ever bought in my life, way back then. But it was good. But all of a sudden, I had my kit bag. He said, no, you're a professional now. You can't go borrowing stuff. You got to have your own bag. So, you know, he got me my first bag of kit, my cricket stuff. Not for free, but it was fantastic. I felt like a pro. Have all my stuff, all my boots. And he made sure he kitted me out with the real proper stuff. You know, all my arm guards, the whole work. I'm meeting guys like Bob Taylor. Oh my gosh, unbelievable, you know. These are guys you see on TV. And as I said earlier on as well, I could ball quickly, but I was wild. But I've never ever seen a guy, Bob Taylor, you know, ball on the leg side, and most of the wicket keeper wouldn't even get close to it, and Bob Taylor was there, just catching the ball. He rarely dived. Occasionally, you have to dive when one went a bit further, but I don't believe Bob let a bite off me. You know, he went a hell of a long game, or even practice game. Unbelievable. I keep saying, wow, you saw him on TV, but just to have Bob keep to you in the main, man, it was just unbelievable. Next, you realize, that's what first-class cricket is about, and if you want to play international cricket, it's a massive different step. So it was great to meet guys like that. And as you said, I made my debut again. Sorry, I reckon my first wicket. Who was it? Graham Clinton? I can't remember.
Jack Richards.
It was Jack Richards. Jack Richards.
Yep.
I got Jack Richards out of my first class wicket. And you believe that I went on from that one. When I first started, if anybody told me, said, look, Dev, you know what? When you finish, you're going to take over 1,000 first-class wickets, I would say, man, you must be crazy. Because I could bowl quickly but wild. But, you know, I started late, so as fast bowling go, I kept really, really fit and ended up with over 1,000 first-class wickets. And as I keep saying, you look on a lot of players I played with over the years, I know none of those guys get anywhere close to the figures, the number of figures, when it comes to wickets. You understand? So, I reckon I've had an okay career. You know,
well, let's
I started pretty late. Mm-hmm.
I just want to sort of take it on a bit, because with your wickets tally, in 1988 you got 56 wickets, first-class wickets. 1989 you got 47. And then we're now going to talk about your Test career. Now, we've talked about your debut, but I wanted to focus on some of your highlights of your Test career. I mean, so you got 128 wickets in 40 matches, and 16 wickets in 10 ODIs. But wanted to talk about your debut match in Kingston, Jamaica. What did it feel like going home and playing against the West Indies in a match that everything happened for you in that match as well?
Yeah. I'll tell you something. You mentioned earlier on my debut. So when I've had a debut like I had against Australia, I'll be lying if I said, look, I went to the Caribbean playing against the legends like Greenwich, Haynes, Richard Richardson, and all those guys. I would be lying if I said, look, I was full of confidence, because a debut like I had wasn't like that. But I will tell you now, the confidence came from, you know, when we finished that series, before we went to the Caribbean, Graham Booth took over from, I have to put this in, I have to tell you this, took over from David Gower as captain. And he had this philosophy. Look, the West Indian cricketers, they're better than us. They're more experienced than us. The only way we're going to get close to those guys is preparation and fitness. And Graham Booth put this program out, these different camps all over the place. And, you know, after that winter nets training, I realized that playing county cricket, I wasn't a pro, really, because there was some serious preparation. I was physically fit. The running, the coaches, and what Graham and Mickey Stewart brought in was unbelievable. And I didn't realize what I heard was prior to that tour in 89, 90 to the Caribbean. That's the first telecast series anyway. Sky telecast the series over. The guys normally just turn up, do whatever they want to do on a plane, and you get prepared for the Test series wherever you're going. But I left, or most of us, I could say we all left England to the Caribbean full of confidence with our fitness and feel, look, we probably could, or we're qualified to go on the same field and put up a good fight against the West Indies. And I mentioned earlier on, again, you know, the launch of my first class career. You mentioned Jamaica. First time back to Jamaica since I left as a youngster representing England. And I wasn't one of the best fielders in the world, so I had to feel in the deep. I had strong arm where I could get the ball in quickly. So I had to feel in the deep, fine leg third man, that kind of area. And the the crowd were vociferous. They were very loud. They gave me a lot of stick. They say some things where if I wasn't strong enough and realized, look, Dave, you got to hold your own here. They could have easily broke me. Really, I could have been easily broken. You understand? But I love the game of cricket. And but what happened? You see, when I got Viv Richards out the first innings, when I got Viv Richards out LB, that was fantastic. But getting Viv Richards out, clean ball of Viv Richards the second innings, and all of a sudden, the crowd recognized, okay, these guys can bowl. They can bowl fast. They love fast bowling, and it was readapted. So there's not a problem at all, you know. But launching my Test career, getting Viv Richards out, and winning that first Test match. I mean, Angus Fraser bowled well in that game. Alan Lamb batted excellently, very well. Alex Stewart made his debut. Robin Smith batted well as well. And talk about Alan Lamb, I just heard he's going through a bit of I saw I put out on Twitter yesterday actually that he's been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and so I wish him all the best with his recovery. And all those men out there, you know, we should go out and and get checked. Don't be embarrassed about anything of what he said. I'm, you know, practically repeating what Lammy said, because that's the same thing what happened to Bob Willis. We lost Bob Willis a couple of years ago because of prostate cancer. So, you know, just go and get the test, guys. You know, I've had mine, and I've, constantly do that. So don't be bashful. Don't be scared. You know, it's nothing serious. So get that blood test and have your PCR test.
England won the match. England won the match by 9 wickets, and in the series, you got 19 wickets in the series as well.
In the series, yeah. As I said, I was confident. You know, I was given a role. You know, Dev, you're the quickest bowler. You got to strike. You strike. Angus Fraser got to hold one in. David Capel again. God rest his soul. David Capel, Gladstone Small, and the other bowlers, they get a hold one in. But my job was to strike, was to take wickets. And especially in the first Test match, was fantastic with Angus Fraser. I know I could go at 3-4 and over. Angus going to go at 2. So we're not going to be losing the game. My job was, okay, Dev, you come on for a bowl. You're going to shake them up or you're going to take wickets. Angus would hold her in, and if Angus gets some wickets, that's fine. So we were a great partnership, myself and Angus together. As I said, ended up taking 19 wickets in the game. In the series, Trinidad, I had one of my best Test matches. A game we should have won as well. I don't know where that rain came from. So from Trinidad, we should have been 2-0 up, and we probably wouldn't have lost the series. But, you know, it's one of those things. But, yeah, launching my Test career was Viv Richards. Launching my first-class career was a great Boycott. And you keep saying you don't care how good you are, how well you do. It's the guy you play against. Greater players than yourself, really, that would give you that platform. And I keep saying, Viv, absolutely legend, you know, a man I respect right down to his boots, really, you know, serious cricketer and very proud cricketer. And, you know, we had some great battles on the field, but we're still good friends, you know. We play the game tough on the field, and if you see Viv now, we still give a high five and we still have a beer together. And once you play this game in great spirit, mate, no problem. 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line, if you can talk to each other and still have a beer, that's what it's all about.
That's all for part 1 with Devon Malcolm. In part 2, Devon talks about touring in Australia, his county cricket career, his thoughts on the Ashes down under this winter, and of course, the full story of his 9 for 57 against South Africa at the Oval back in 1994. The podcast will be available from Sunday, the 21st of November. I hope you enjoyed the first part, and you'll be back for part 2.
Thank you for listening to the Paddock and the Pavilion. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and now on Instagram at the Pad and Pav. Don't forget, if you like the show, please do leave us a rating and review.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
How powerful is the Cox Network? So powerful that one day, the internet will let your doctor perform miracles from thousands of miles away.
Connecting to remote operating room.
Giving a whole new meaning to the term house call.
Operation complete.
The Cox Network. With gig speeds everywhere, it's internet built for tomorrow, today. Cox, bringing us closer. In Cox serviceable areas, speeds vary and are not guaranteed. Cox terms apply. Other restrictions may apply.